Roll Credits, where movie lovers get the trivia they didn't know they needed. This podcast was created with help from AI tools, so double-check any quotes before you drop trivia at your next movie night. Today, we're taking ACME to court with Coyote versus Acme, a movie whose journey to the big screen may be almost as unbelievable as Wile E. Coyote's survival record.
Yeah, I mean, you could not write a more ironic, true Hollywood story if you tried.
Right. It's just wild.
It really is. Like, we're talking about a movie where this sympathetic underdog gets completely crushed by a ruthless, profit-obsessed corporation.
And then the movie itself gets crushed by a real-world, profit-obsessed corporation.
Exactly. It's this incredibly clever, surprisingly touching legal comedy that essentially had to fight for its own right to exist.
Yeah, and I definitely want to break down the mechanics of that real-world fight because it's fascinating. But, to really grasp the sheer madness of the behind-the-scenes drama, we kind of first need to establish what this movie actually is.
For sure. It's a weird premise to wrap your head around.
It is. Like, picture John Grisham meeting Tex Avery.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Because you get the tense, high-stakes legal maneuvering of a massive class-action lawsuit, sort of similar to Aaron Brockovich or, Dark Waters. But the plaintiff's lawyers are having to cross-examine a giant talking cartoon rooster.
Yeah.
Like, that is the fundamental premise of Coyote versus Acme.
Which is brilliant because, I mean, for over 70 years, Wile E. Coyote has been the ultimate symbol of failure, right?
Oh, absolutely.
He's like modern animation's Sisyphus,
Yeah.
just constantly pushing the boulder up the hill. We've all seen the classic shorts.
The rocket skates.
Yeah.
The giant catapults.
Exactly. He sets up an elaborate trap, usually involving some weird magnet glove purchased through the mail from the ACME Corporation, all to finally catch the Roadrunner.
And inevitably, it violently backfires.
Right. He gets flattened by a boulder, charred by an explosion, or my personal favorite, sent plummeting off a cliff just holding up a tiny parasol right before impact.
The parasol gets me every time. But the genius twist in this script is that shift in perspective.
Yeah, the framing is everything here.
Because for decades, we've laughed at his incompetence. But in this story, Wile E finally stops blaming himself and starts looking at the manufacturer.
Which makes so much sense.
It really does. He realizes he didn't fail. The products are fundamentally defective. So he hires this billboard nuisance lawyer named Kevin Avery.
Played by Will Forte, which is just perfect casting.
So perfect. He hires him to sue the absolute pants off the ACME Corporation.
And, this entirely reframes a character that is deeply ingrained in our cultural consciousness because we are so conditioned to seeing Wile E. Coyote as a predator.
Right, a bloodthirsty, albeit completely incompetent predator.
Exactly. His stated biological goal is to catch and consume another character. But by viewing his endless string of failures through this very dry, bureaucratic lens of product liability, it hilariously reframes him as the ultimate sympathetic victim.
Oh, totally.
He's just a consumer. He bought a product expecting it to work as advertised in the catalog.
And instead, he's subjected to endless physical trauma by a massive, negligent megacorporation that clearly, skips quality control.
Right. And that dynamic is really what grounds the movie because Forte's character, Kevin Avery, he isn't some hotshot litigator.
No, not at all.
He's this down-on-his-luck attorney. He operates out of a dingy office and usually just settles minor personal injury cases for a couple $100 just to keep the lights on.
So he's absolutely terrified of taking on a behemoth like ACME.
Terrified. He only really steps into the ring because he's pushed by his niece, Paige. She's played by Lana Condor, and she's this idealistic, recent law school grad.
She kind of serves as the moral compass of the legal team, right?
She does, and they really need that because on the other side of the aisle, you have John Cena playing Buddy Crane.
Oh, man, John Cena in this movie.
He's so good. Buddy is Kevin's former boss, and he is the slick, intimidating, obscenely wealthy corporate defense lawyer representing ACME.
And his legal defense strategy is lifted directly from the playbook of real corporate lawsuits, which is just blame the consumer.
Exactly. ACME's legal team argues that Wile E. Coyote is a high-usage user who is essentially addicted to their products.
And then he's blatantly ignoring the safety warning.
Right. They argue he isn't using the products as intended, which, if you look at the evidence, is actually a decent legal argument.
I mean, yeah.
The ACME Corporation points out that a rocket sled is not legally intended to be used to chase a supersonic bird across a desert highway.
Which is fair, but that brings up a massive creative hurdle for the movie itself. Well, E. Coyote doesn't speak.
No, never.
Like in the classic shorts and throughout this entire feature-length movie, he communicates purely through his classic handwritten wooden signs, a furrowed brow, and very expressive pantomime.
Hanging the emotional core of a feature-length legal drama on a mute cartoon coyote is a wild creative risk.
It really is.
The entire foundation of this project actually started as a legendary 1990 New Yorker humor piece by Ian Fraser.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it went back that far.
Yeah, it laid out the fictional legal briefings of this exact lawsuit. But, taking a satirical essay and turning it into a narrative film required heavy lifting. Director Dave Green teamed up with screenwriter Sammy Birch, who, by the way, was nominated for an Oscar for her screenplay for May-December.
That's a serious writing pedigree for a Looney Tunes movie.
It is. And the broader story was developed by Birch, Jeremy Slater, and James Gunn.
Okay, James Gunn's involvement makes total sense here.
Right.
He basically perfected the lovable, misfit underdog story with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, he knows how to make audiences care deeply about a CGI raccoon. So applying that to a hand-drawn coyote is right in his wheelhouse.
Absolutely.
But I'm struggling to see how this doesn't just turn into a massive tonal mess on screen. Like, you can't deliver a soaring Aaron Sorkin-style monologue about corporate greed and then immediately drop a one-ton grand piano on the plaintiff's head. Doesn't that just give the audience complete whiplash?
Well, it absolutely would if they didn't follow the golden rule of the hybrid format.
Which is?
Basically the Roger Rabbit rule. The gold standard for this is still Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The secret ingredient of that film wasn't just the groundbreaking visual blend of animation and live action. It was the fact that Bob Hoskins played his role as a gritty noir detective completely straight.
Oh, right. He never treated it like a joke.
Exactly. And the world of Coyote versus Acme operates on the exact same principle. It never winks at the audience. The human characters don't treat ACME like a quirky gag factory.
They treat it as an all-powerful, terrifying mega conglomerate.
Right. It has its tentacles in every aspect of society. So the piano dropping isn't treated as a funny joke by the human characters. It's treated as a horrifying example of corporate negligence.
So the actors carry the burden of making the cartoon physics feel real.
Yeah.
And Will Forte feels perfectly cast for that.
Oh, 100%.
He has this sweaty, stubbly hangdog energy that he brings to roles, like a modern, stressed-out Jimmy Stewart. And he has a deep, long-standing affection for Looney Tunes. But to make those courtroom scenes work, he had to perform all of these highly emotional, impassioned speeches opposite what was, on the physical set, just a green screen ball on a stick.
Which is wild to think about. The technical craft required to act opposite empty space, perfectly timing your dialogue to reactions that will be animated months later, is incredibly demanding.
Yeah, that's tough.
And John Cena provides the perfect counterweight to Forte's nervous energy. Cena leans so far into his intimidating, boxy physique that he naturally mirrors the exaggerated proportions of a cartoon character.
He really does. He's built like a superhero.
Exactly. He uses his sheer size for intimidation. There's this incredible sequence where this giant, muscular, former professional wrestler is deadpan threatening Tweety Bird on the witness stand.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's cross-examining him about whether he, quote, really taught a putty tat.
That's amazing.
And the comedy sings specifically because Cena plays it with absolute menacing sincerity. Like he's interrogating a hostile witness in a murder trial.
See, that level of untouchable corporate power and sheer absurdity isn't just a fun gag in the script, though. It actually became the defining reality of the movie's existence.
It did. It really did.
Because when the film was completely finished, the real-world megacorporation behind it acted exactly like ACME.
Yeah. The transition from a creative triumph to a corporate tragedy was just whiplash-inducing.
So what actually happened?
Well, by all accounts from the industry, Coyote versus Acme was a spectacular finished film. It had a budget of roughly $70 million. Production wrapped in 2022, the visual effects were done, the edit was locked.
So it was ready to go.
Completely ready. And it had scored incredibly high with test audiences, which is usually a reliable metric for a crowd pleaser. But then, in November 2023, Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav made a shocking, unprecedented announcement. He abruptly shelved the film.
And let's be clear on what shelving means here, because they didn't just delay the release date, and they didn't quietly dump it onto their Max streaming service.
Yeah.
They literally planned to lock the hard drives in a vault forever so that no human being could ever legally watch it.
Right. The studio opted to take a $30 to $40 million tax write-off on the film's losses.
Over a completed movie. That's just, it's hard to process.
It is. But their internal logic was that marketing and distributing a film theatrically requires a massive secondary budget, often another $30 to $40 million for global advertising.
Right, prints and advertising.
Exactly. So in corporate accounting terms, the studio decided that claiming a total loss on this specific asset to offset the massive tax liabilities generated by their other huge hits that year, like the Barbie movie or the Hogwarts Legacy video game, was just a safer bet than risking a potential box office underperformance.
I need to pause on the financial mechanics of this because the term write-down and write-off get thrown around a lot in these industry reports.
Yeah, they do.
As I understand it, they are essentially telling the government and their shareholders that this $70 million piece of art they just spent 2 years making is now legally worthless.
Yep.
So instead of trying to make money selling tickets, they use that massive loss to lower their overall corporate tax bill.
That is the mechanism exactly. When a corporation has a banner year, their tax burden is astronomical. By officially declaring Coyote versus Acme a total loss and permanently abandoning the asset, they can subtract that $70 million from their taxable income.
Wow.
It's a guaranteed immediate financial benefit on paper, whereas releasing the movie relies on the unpredictable whims of the global box office.
Imagine this for a second. You're an architect, right? And you've just spent 2 years meticulously building a beautiful custom house. You've poured your heart into the design, the carpenters have finished the trim, the paint is dry.
Okay.
And the day before the family is supposed to move in, the bank that financed the construction shows up and bulldozes the entire property into dust just so they can claim a tax deduction on the broken bricks. It's maddening.
It is. And the outrage was palpable because it violated the unwritten social contract of filmmaking. Now, to be fair, Warner Bros. Discovery had actually done this before.
Right, with Batgirl.
Yeah. The previous year, they permanently shelved a near-completed Batgirl movie starring Leslie Grace and Michael Keaton, as well as an animated Scooby-Doo film called Scoob: Holiday Haunt.
But the industry reaction to Coyote versus Acme was entirely different, wasn't it?
Completely different. Batgirl was reportedly plagued by production issues and was testing poorly. But Coyote vs. Acme was a finished, highly tested, universally beloved crowd pleaser starring major A-list talent.
So people weren't just disappointed. They were completely blindsided and furious.
Oh, yeah. The crew found out their movie was dead by reading the Hollywood trade papers.
That is brutal.
Will Forte posted a heartbroken message calling the move cruel and heartless. And it wasn't just the people involved in the movie who were angry. Major influential filmmakers like Christopher Miller and Phil Lord, the guys behind the Spider-Verse movies, they publicly championed the film.
Right. Didn't directors start canceling meetings with his studio?
Yes. Directors were actively canceling general meetings with Warner Bros. Out of fear that they could spend years of their lives on a project only for it to be arbitrarily deleted for a quarterly tax break.
And the ripple effects reached far outside of Hollywood. Like, the backlash made it all the way to Washington, D.C.
It did. U.S. Congressman Joaquin Castro publicly called for a Justice Department investigation into Warner Bros. Discovery's actions.
Wow. On what grounds?
Citing antitrust concerns and predatory accounting practices. The argument was that systematically destroying completed art for tax loopholes is fundamentally anti-competitive and harmful to the workers who built the product.
And we have to acknowledge the staggering irony here.
Yeah.
We just laid out the plot of Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah.
It is literally a story about a plucky, sympathetic underdog being crushed by a callous, profit-obsessed corporation.
Right. A corporation that views collateral damage and human suffering as just another line item on a spreadsheet. The meta-narrative is almost too perfect. Like, the opening title card of the movie literally zooms in on the Warner Animation Group logo and reveals to the audience that it is a wholly owned subsidiary of the ACME Corp.
Oh my gosh, that's bold.
Right. The movie was openly, actively biting the hand that fed it. It was a sharp critique of CEOs who throw their weight around, skirt safety regulations, and prioritize shareholders over people.
And then, in the real world, a CEO threw his weight around and prioritized shareholders over the art.
Exactly. The film itself became a victim of the exact corporate cynicism it was satirizing.
It's like the universe's most depressing piece of performance art. But, keeping with the spirit of the cartoon, Wile E. Coyote can fall off a 1,000-foot cliff, leave a coyote-shaped hole in the desert floor, and then pop back out in the next scene holding a tiny sign.
Yep. He always comes back.
And the movie refused to stay dead. A massive public outcry mobilized online. The hashtags #SaveCoyotesAcme completely took over social media platforms. And remarkably, that immense public pressure actually forced the studio's hand.
It was a rare instance of a giant corporation blinking. The PR disaster became so toxic that Warner Bros. Discovery reversed course, well, partially.
Right. They didn't agree to release it themselves.
No, but they permitted the filmmakers to screen the finished film for rival studios and shop it around to other distributors.
Which sparked this bizarre, high-stakes Hollywood bidding war.
Yeah.
You had Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Paramount all circling the project, eager to scoop up a completed movie.
But Warner Bros. Didn't make the rescue mission easy.
Of course not. What did they do?
They played extreme hardball. Reports indicate that Warner Bros. Demanded somewhere between $75 and $80 million to sell the film.
Wait, they wanted a profit on a movie they were about to throw in the trash?
Essentially, yes. They demanded that a rival buyer cover their entire original production budget plus a premium, and they reportedly refused to negotiate or accept any counterbids.
That is just wow.
So when none of the major streamers met that exact exorbitant price tag, the studio prepared to drop the anvil again.
Unbelievable.
In their Q4 2023 earnings call, the company took a massive $115 million write-down, signaling to Wall Street that they were swallowing the losses on several projects, which led the entire industry to believe the Coyote was dead for good.
Looking at how this finally resolved, though, the savior came from totally outside the major studio system. A distributor called Ketchup Entertainment stepped in.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Now, Ketchup Entertainment is an independent distributor founded in 2011. They're mostly known for handling things like a recent Hellboy reboot or smaller Ben Affleck thrillers.
Right.
So buying this feels less about the movie itself and more about buying the ultimate PR stunt. Like, did they just pay $50 million for global sympathy and instant brand recognition?
I mean, it was a masterclass in turning a massive corporate liability into an unprecedented asset. In March 2025, Ketchup Entertainment finalized a deal to acquire the worldwide distribution rights for around $50 million, officially securing an August 28, 2026 theatrical release. And your instinct on the PR value is spot on. You cannot buy the kind of organic, industry-wide, global press coverage this film received over those 2 years. Every major news outlet covered its cancellation and rescue.
And Ketchup had actually just pulled this exact maneuver.
Yes.
They had recently stepped in to save another orphan Looney Tunes project, an animated feature called The Day the Earth Blew Up, from a similar fate at Warner Bros.
So they established themselves as the White Knights of animation. They brilliantly leaned into the film's tortured history. Their entire marketing campaign pitched it directly as the film ACME didn't want you to see.
Oh, that's such a good tagline.
It's perfect. They capitalized on the intense curiosity factor. People who wouldn't normally rush out to see a live-action Looney Tunes hybrid bought tickets simply to see the forbidden fruit that almost broke Hollywood accounting.
The relief from the cast and crew must have been overwhelming. Like Eric Bauza, the legendary voice actor who voices Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, and several other characters in the film, he had been keeping the hope alive for months.
Yeah, sneaking hints and pleas into his acceptance speeches at award shows.
Exactly. And Will Forte did interviews where he noted that the whole grueling ordeal taught him to trust no one but don't give up hope.
And that perseverance really paid off because the movie is finally in theaters and the critical consensus has validated the fight to save it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the actual movie now that people can see it. What's the verdict?
It's sitting around a very solid 7 or 8 out of 10 from most major critics.
That's great for a hybrid comedy.
It really is. Reviewers have heavily praised its clever script, the laugh-out-loud physical gags, and its deep, reverent homage to Chuck Jones, the legendary animator who originally created the Coyote and Roadrunner shorts back in the late 1940s.
You know, Chuck Jones actually had a very strict, famous set of rules for the Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons.
Oh, right, the rules.
Yeah, it's things like
Yeah.
the Roadrunner cannot directly harm the Coyote. Only the Coyote's own ineptitude or the failure of ACME's products can cause him pain. No outside forces can interfere, and the Coyote could stop any time if he wasn't a fanatic.
I love those rules.
What I love is that the movie respects those foundational rules while finding incredibly clever ways to bend them to fit the framework of a modern courtroom drama. Like, the legal team essentially uses Chuck Jones's rules as the basis for their liability arguments.
The attention to detail really honors the legacy of the characters. I will say the main critique from some reviewers is relatively minor in the grand scheme of things.
What did they say?
Well, some critics noted that the live-action cinematography can look a bit flat or bland in the purely human scenes where the cartoon characters aren't in the frame. It reflects a somewhat standard studio comedy aesthetic.
Sure, I can see that.
But they universally agree that whenever the tunes are on screen, the integration with the real world is flawless and technically dazzling.
And the trivia nuggets hidden in the margins of this film are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Foghorn Leghorn is perfectly cast as the blustering, aggressive ACME CEO.
Oh my gosh, yes!
The visual of this oversized, southern drawl-skewing rooster in a tailored two-piece suit barking orders at John Cena is incredible.
It's so funny.
There's also a blink and you'll miss it gag with Tweety Bird holding a shotgun that plays on his innocent facade.
Love that.
And the opening scene features a deep-cut character, Dr. Laura Lair, a mad scientist character of the 1930s actor Peter Lorre, escaping an exploding ACME factory by literally jumping into a portable black hole.
The production pipeline also allowed for some fascinating late-stage creativity. Bugs Bunny, the undisputed mascot of the franchise, was actually a very late addition to the film.
Wait, really? How do you add Bugs Bunny late?
Well, Lana Condor revealed in an interview that she didn't even know she shared a scene with the iconic rabbit until after principal photography had completely wrapped.
That's crazy.
Because they were shooting humans against empty spaces or stand-ins, the animation team had the flexibility in post-production to tweak the animated ensemble and insert characters where they best served the story.
It's a wildly entertaining movie packed with nostalgia, sharp writing, and great performances. But, sitting in the theater, holding a ticket, it feels like it represents something so much bigger now.
It really does.
It's not just a cartoon making jokes about defective anvils. It stands as a physical statement about the industry.
The thematic analysis of Coyote versus Acme extends far beyond the runtime of the film. It serves as a permanent testament to the underdog spirit, the value of creative persistence, and the absolute necessity of prioritizing art over accounting.
Absolutely.
We live in an era of massive media consolidation where tax loopholes frequently incentivize treating artists' years of hard work as disposable content on a spreadsheet. Buying a ticket to this film feels like a tangible act of rebellion against corporate greed.
It's a victory lap for everyone who believes a finished piece of art deserves to be seen by an audience, not buried in a tax ledger. Which brings me to a final thought for you to mull over. We've talked extensively about the irony of the movie's plot, mirroring its real-life struggle against a conglomerate.
Right.
But what is the ultimate legacy of Coyote versus Acme isn't just that it saved Wile E. Coyote from the vault. What if this whole chaotic saga actually fundamentally shifts how Hollywood operates moving forward?
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Because of the massive, unmitigated public relations nightmare this caused for the studio, we might actually see a future where directors, actors, and writers demand new, ironclad legal clauses in their contracts. Clauses specifically designed to guarantee a release and prevent their work from being shelved as a tax write-off in the first place.
The ripples of this specific lawsuit, both the fictional one against Acme and the real-world battle to release the film, will likely alter contract negotiations in the industry for years to come.
Yeah, I think so too.
It proves that audiences and creators still hold collective power, and that sometimes, against all the odds, the coyote actually wins.
So the next time you see a cartoon anvil falling from the sky, just remember the real-world executives who almost got crushed by their own scheme. And that wraps our journey through Coyote versus Acme, a movie that somehow survived an ACME-sized corporate explosion of its own. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Roll Credits and share it with your fellow movie fans and let us know what film we should cover next, old or new. We'll be back soon with more trivia, more movie magic, and hopefully a few fewer anvils.